of all the characters in Final Fantasy VI, Locke is definitely one of the characters that's always consistently plagued with his past, and particularly his failure to protect as well as save Rachel when he wasn't able to do so. And there's just some things that happened to him in his past that he cannot do, namely against his own will, and things went out of his control. Namely, throughout much of the game, and particularly the World of Ruin, he spends much of it trying to revive his deceased girlfriend Rachel. And it's arguably one of the most bittersweet moments in Final Fantasy VI, because he succeeds in his goal, but yet at the same time, she ultimately passes away nevertheless. But nevertheless, he gets to hear the words from Rachel that he needs to hear from her. And technically, in terms of one of the characters of the game, he's actually one of the better support units, as well as a surprisingly good fighter overall. Hi folks, I'm MurderStorm331, back to doing some more streaming today for a bit. We're going to be doing the character guide for Locke, the heroic treasure hunter, and we're going to be going an overview of Locke, as well as his strengths, weaknesses, his skills, his recommended stat level ups, as well as his final end-game equipment options in general. If you do enjoy the content that I'm putting out, feel free to give my YouTube channel a sub, as well as give my Twitch channel a follow and sub as well. That will definitely help it grow by bits and bounds. And anyway, let's go ahead and get started with this guide. So Locke is our second party member that joins pretty early in the game, right after we get Terra, shortly afterwards. Locke is used pretty much heavily throughout most of World of Balance. Not so much in World of Ruin though, but he still has a pretty huge involvement in most of the story nevertheless, except for the World of Ruin. But technically, Locke will join up right after you lose control of Terra at the mines, and you get to pretty much keep him throughout much of the game. The Imperial Lands, you are required to have him for the trip over there for most of it. And he will also be with Terra for the trip to Curson Island and the events there. Locke is probably going to be the probably the last party member you get out of the original 12, because he rejoins the party after the events of the Phoenix Cave. But you do need 2 teams of 4 party members to make it through the dungeon, pretty much, to get to him. So that means you'll need 8 party members before you can go get Locke pretty early. But technically, he's probably going to be the last person that's going to be recruited most of the time. So on the surface, Locke is probably more geared for physical fighting in general. I should warn you right now, the stats that he does have are not his initial stats. These are either done by equipment gains or Esper bonuses. But anyway, Locke's initial stats are 37 on strength, 40 on speed, 31 on stamina, 28 on magic, HP gain of 48, and NP gain of 7. So basically, Locke is arguably, without the shadow of a doubt, the fastest among all the returners with a default speed of 40. So he can literally outdo some of the more notable characters like Shadow and Sabin, just to name a few. Even Gao can pretty much give Locke a run in for his money as well. Of course, with his 37 strength, it will be very serviceable for him to be doing regular attacks. Despite not having any skills that benefit his strength in general for attacking, he nevertheless equipped a variety of weapons, including some of the more well-known weapons like Valiant Knife, Ultima Weapon, Ragnarok, and even Ultima Weapon, and even Lightbringer as well. So he actually gets a large amount of weapons to play with, as well as throwing weapons. Hawkeye, Sniper, Rising Sun, Full Moon, or whatever it's called in this version. Boy. But there's a lot of weapons that Locke can get access to. He can also equip elemental swords. So this really gives him a lot of good, interesting options. His evasion is also pretty decent for 15 in general. Of course, giving him better shields will help him improve on that as well. But for the most part, Locke is pretty much your supporter unit, in addition to being a physical attacking unit. And that's more or less thanks to his ability Steal. Now, the way this game calculates the success rate, It's based on 50 plus Locke's level, and then it minuses that from the target's level, and bases that number against 128, pretty much. The success rate will double if Locke has the Thief's Bracer equipped. You can get that as early as after the battle at Narsh, once you regain the ability to start exploring Narsh, that is. And technically, when it comes, there are two items that Locke has a chance of stealing. There's basically common items, and then there's occasions where they'll have rare items. If an enemy only has one item, it's technically a rare item. So usually, most of the time, Locke will usually steal common items. That's usually out of 7 out of 8 chances of him performing that attempt. Whereas rare steals will always have a 1 out of 8 chances. So basically, he's going to probably fail more on stealing rare stuff off of enemies. One thing to keep in mind is that the game determines what item gets stolen. So this does not apply when you start a battle or manipulation. So basically, the game will just decide whether or not you get the common steal or the rare steal, or nothing at all. When Locke has the Brigand's Glove equipped on his relics, this gives his Steal command to Mug command. So basically, when he performs Mug, he basically jumps at an enemy and attacks them while trying to steal. It still has the same steal mechanics as Steal. Any special effects on weapons, like instant death, are ignored, but any weapons with the ability to cast spells are still applied. So they'll always occur regardless. But anyway, if you're trying for status element inflictions or whatever, that will not work with Brigand's Glove, but you can still use elemental spells from their weapons for the most part. So anyway, Locke is pretty much a pretty simple character in general. Technically, you want to boost up his strength, not to mention he gets pretty good options in terms of gear and equipment. One thing I didn't mention is that he also gets access to Wing Edge. So Wing Edge gives him probably the massive amount of boost on his more ideal stats of strength and agility. This also gives him a +1 in stamina and +2 on magic. If you do decide to give him the Jinjai Glove and give him 2 Wing Edges, you can get one from Phoenix Cave, and I believe you can get another one from Kefka's Tower. So that can give him like 14 strength, 14 agility, 2 stamina, and 4 magic if you do decide to go that route. Now, of course, if you want him to have more strength, Red Cap is actually pretty good for him in general, because that'll give him a +4 on strength. Of course, if you're concerned about his magic, Circlet's not a bad option for him. It does give him 2+ strength, but it'll also boost his magic by 4. Gives his stamina an additional 3 points and an additional agility by 1. Of course, I don't have Jinjai armor. I think he can equip that as well. If you do get that, I recommend giving that to him. He only has Crystal Mail right now, but that would definitely boost up his strength even further in general. So if you can get Jinjai armor, I recommend getting that on him. Crystal Mail is not a bad option for defense, but you definitely want Locke getting as much stat bonuses as you could possibly throw on him as possible. So yeah, in general, in most stats, you can even boost his agility. It's not a bad idea to give Locke some more magic increases, because he'll probably have to rely on spells rather than physical attacks most of the time until you start actually getting some more decent weaponry. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that the Valiant Knife and the Ultima weapon both ignore defense. And this is actually pretty good, because he can actually make full use of the Jinjai Glove Master Scroll combo. So even though both of those weapons actually fluctuate between Locke's HP, the fact is this will give him one weapon will deal more damage than the other, but this gives him some pretty good nifty coverage, pretty much. So Valiant Knife is not very strong in terms of damage outside of boosting the evasion, but Valiant Knife is actually one of his ultimate weapons because as long as his HP takes a nosedive, gets to critical levels, he'll deal more damage. So ultimate weapon, when he has that full life, he can deal more damage. Valiant Knife actually gets more stronger when his HP hits lower. So giving him those weapons and that Chinchai Glove Master Scroll combo is going to be very, very good for him to have in the long haul. With Relm, though, you can definitely take full advantage of her control ability, and this will allow Locke to steal a variety of gear off of targets. I should probably point out, though, that there are some enemies in the Pixel Remaster version, which I'm playing, that cannot be controlled, so you're going to probably have to do this the old-fashioned way with Locke, but I'll explain more about that when we get to Relm, when we cover her guide in general. But technically, thanks to the biometry in this game, you can figure out which monsters have the ideal gear you want to get your party members. It is possible for Locke to steal, get some pretty good gear early on, as well as later on as well, and supply your party with that in general. So in other words, don't sleep on using steel off, take valuable items off of enemies. It's also a pretty good way to purchase usable items that you would normally purchase at stores. You can get those off enemies and free of charge. One thing, if you do decide to get Locke pretty early in World of Ruin, is that a good deal of the dungeons that you go to find your party members, most enemies will not have anything noteworthy to steal. I could be wrong, but most of them do not. So usually by the time you get him back onto the party and go to the other dungeons that do have items, he will definitely thrive in general. You will need Locke to open up the doors in Narsh. He's like the only character that you can get the Ragnarok Esper sword, as well as the Curse Shield, which you'll need to uncurse to get the Paladin Shield. But overall, just make sure Locke has the Thief's Bracer on him at all times so that his ability to steal any items will improve. Earlier on, when you don't want to use the Brigand's Glove, another good option, of course, is the Harvey Sandals. So basically, if you're going up against enemies with rare shields, you want Locke to get as much turns as much as possible. So by giving him auto haste, he will be very useful to steal off the targets until he does successfully get whatever he wants off of them. And because Locke is going to be with you in the Imperial Lands arc, it's definitely a good idea to have him master Kira from Chiron, because you will lose Celeste before you leave the factory and research facility, so he makes a very good healer earlier on, but there are other characters that will surpass him in magic. It's not that his magic's pitiful, it can be redeemed thanks to boosting up the magic stat, but technically you want to prioritize his strength boosting overall. And that will definitely help him in the long haul for most of the game. So anyway, that covers Locke's guide. Pretty short and sweet for the most part. Thankfully, we've already covered most of the characters with very extensively long discussions about their skills and whatnot. So this video was actually a lot more shorter than normal. The final 4 characters in the order that we're going to be doing guides coming up is going to be Relm, the artistic mage, Setzer, the gambling pilot, Gogo, the versatile mime, and Gao, the feral juggernaut. Those are the titles that I've come up with for those guides. So once I get done with this stream and this video becomes available for highlighting, I will have it highlighted and then export it. And once it's done, export it to YouTube. Relm's guide should be coming up next week, and we're getting very close to the end of the character guides for Final Fantasy VI. Again, if you do enjoy the content that you like on this channel, feel free to sub to my YouTube channel as well as my Twitch channel, as well as giving it a follow as well. Anyway, I will catch you all tomorrow for Secret of Mana. The schedules are now officially up on both my Blue Sky and X accounts. I will try to get back to doing putting up schedules on Twitch again. In fact, I'll probably do that sometime later tonight before I go to bed. Anyway, you all have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all tomorrow. This is Storm 331 signing off. Have a great day. Take care, and I will see you all next time.